Many people think that tinnitus is a rare condition that really only affects the aged. Experience now tells us that this assumption is not correct. Millions upon millions of people across the world from all walks of life and in varying age groups complain of hearing clicking, buzzing, whooshing and ringing sounds in either one or both ears. Whatever the sensation, these sounds can come and go of their own accord, they can suddenly seem to appear from nowhere, they may decide to stay with us and not go away, or they may persist in the background and choose to flare up when we are tired, stressed or are generally unwell. Know the feeling? I do. What do we know about this condition, and is there a tinnitus cure? Well, for the uninitiated, tinnitus is a condition of the body's nervous system. It is a defect of the human auditory system and is directly connected to the ear or ears. Some people think tinnitus is a disease. However, it is really a symptom, not a disease, and is the byproduct of something else going on in one system. The fact is that many older people will get tinnitus. The bad news for us males is that it is probably more prevalent for us than it is for our women folk. Oh well, such is life. I'm glad that childbirth is more prevalent in women. However, when I first detected tinnitus, I was probably around 40. Not what you would call old, unless you're a teenager of course. In my case, I'm fairly certain that my wayward lifestyle in the younger years may have contributed, at least in part, to my problem. I used to go to the speedway and drag strip on weekends without using any hearing protection. I also frequented pubs and nightclubs with blaringly loud music screaming in my ears for hours. Starting to get the picture. Then when I got out of my 20s and into my late 30s, the old bodily changes began to occur subtly. Elevated blood pressure came as a little surprise, but I put it into check by taking medication including that potential ear-ringing culprit, the humble aspirin. So around the 40 mark I started to notice a slight but annoying buzz going on in my ears. Some days I wouldn't really notice it, particularly if I was busy and distracted by work, family and other things. Yet at other times, I could hear the sounds quite noticeably to the point where I'd be put off what I was doing and sometimes had to ask people to repeat what they were saying to me. This became somewhat annoying and a little embarrassing. After some typical male procrastination to do with anything medical, I decided it was time to have my hearing checked out to see what might be wrong. Needless to say, I passed my hearing test with flying colors but was still a little perturbed by what the problem might be. After my doctor examined me further and couldn't detect any audible ringing or buzzing sounds, he told me that what I had was tinnitus. "What?" I asked. "Tinnitus," he replied loudly. After I composed myself having heard this news and became cool, calm and collected, one of my mother's favorite sayings, I decided to do some research about tinnitus with a mission to see whether I could find a tinnitus cure for my ailment. Now, there is tinnitus and there is tinnitus. For those who may not be aware, there are two main types of tinnitus. These are objective tinnitus and subjective tinnitus. Objective tinnitus is where you can actually hear a sound or noise coming from within a person's ear. A doctor or hearing specialist can pick these sounds up using sensitive hearing apparatus. Objective tinnitus is quite rare and may be caused by things such as increased fluid pressure around the brain, muscles around the ear or throat region, or even a dreaded tumor. Sometimes objective tinnitus can be corrected through surgical procedure where a direct physical underlying cause can be determined and corrected. Subjective tinnitus is different. It cannot be heard by someone else. Most of us fall within this category of tinnitus. Subjective tinnitus is often accompanied by some degree of hearing loss or impairment. This type of tinnitus is a little more challenging to treat and cure. This is because there is usually no obvious underlying physical cause that can be detected. My tinnitus fell within the subjective category as there was no underlying physical cause that could be determined. Now, that news did not mean that I gave up looking for a lasting tinnitus cure. On the contrary, there are many things that tinnitus sufferers can do to give them peace from that constant ringing, rushing and buzzing sound in their ears. 1. Home herbal remedies, using a combination of different herbs infused with hot water to help detox the system and improve one's overall health and well-being. 2. White noise generators, generates a mix of external peaceful sounds that assists the tinnitus sufferer focus their attention away from the noise. 3. Relaxation therapy, take time to reduce stress in your life. get that occasional massage. Raise yourself up the priority list in your family. This can make a difference. 4. Get regular exercise. This is undoubtedly one of the most important things you can do to help drive stress out of your life, improve your general level of fitness and increase both the duration and quality of your life. I walk 2 miles each and every day. What are you doing? To sum up, tinnitus is certainly becoming a more talked about ailment these days, especially in our aging and modern society. Don't be fooled. It doesn't only affect the aged but affects a good many people who never thought they'd get tinnitus until they were well and truly out to pasture. I know, I was one of those. Take a leaf from my book. You don't have to put up with the complaint and suffer in silence. A tinnitus cure is not always a given, but there are things you can do to greatly reduce its annoying effects and get on with your life. I found my tinnitus cure. What are you going to do?